Welcome to a new video on my home automation channel. Today I will be reviewing a Wi-Fi smart switch that I've received from Zemismart, and I received two models at the same time. In fact they are the same model. The only difference is that one is a 3-gang version, the other one is a 2-gang version. But what's more interesting, that if you look at on the other side, it only has live connection. So just like the Sonoff single live wire switch that we have seen a couple of months ago, Zemismart also came out with its own model. So this switch is ideal for those who are upgrading an older style house to new sort of like smart switches, where you would only have live wires in the switch box. Normally in a regular switch, you have the live coming in from your breaker board or something like that. So that's the constant live which is coming in, and that will be connected to one input of the switch. And in this case that's the live connection, so the L, which is the leftmost connection. And then you have several outputs, because this is a 3-gang version, it has 3 outputs. So the L1, L2, L3, those are the 5 live wires which are going out to the different lights. And there is no neutral wire, so you don't need the extra wire in the switch box, because that's being taken care of by another component which is also in the box. And in this case it's a single capacitor, as far as I can tell. It says 275, 310, 320 volts. I'm not sure why it has 3 voltage ratings, but it's 0.33 microfarad. So this is just a single capacitor. On the Sonoff model, I've checked, and it has a slightly bigger box, and it also has a capacitor with a few resistors as well. So in this case we only have a single capacitor. The advantage of this one is this is much smaller than the other unit, so it is probably easier to hide in various light fixtures, and also it's probably easier to get if it gets damaged for any reason, because it's just like, you know, probably not any, but it's just a capacitor that you can order separately. I think I've already shown pretty much what's in the box. That's basically comes in this fairly generic cover, and on the other side we can see that it's called Type 86 Wi-Fi Smart Light Switch. It's rated for 10 amps, so it says 600 watts per gang, but on a small leaflet that is provided it says that if you are using LED or energy saving bulbs, then it should be just only 100 watt per gang, which I think is probably still, you know, plenty. And as you can see, there are various models available. I've received the Wi-Fi and RF version, and that's the 3-gang version. And on the other box it's exactly the same, but it's the 2-gang version. I've already received this one. I haven't received the RF remote unit, but yeah, I mean, that probably looks the same as this one, but you know, it just runs on battery and it's radio controlled. So that would be ideal in a scenario where you mount this, let's say, upstairs in a stairwell, and you have the RF unit downstairs, so you have the two, you know, units talking to each other, and you can operate the light from either of the, you know, either downstairs or upstairs. In the box, obviously, you get the unit. As you can see, these are fairly new. I haven't even removed the protected film from the glass surface. It's a nice, probably toughened glass, I would say. And on the front face, you just have these imprints for the various gangs, and you have a small Wi-Fi symbol. And that's probably just for the light to shine through from the background. And just like with many other models, you can pop the front fascia off, and that would give you access to the screw mounts which are there. So that's how you mount it on the wall, and then you put the fascia back on. And that's pretty much it. And as I said, you only have the live connections. We are going to see the other one, how it's actually wired. Funny enough, there is also a hole, and that would most probably be a neutral for the different models, but they are just using the same moldings for various products, which, yeah, I think it's fine. In case I didn't mention, you are getting some screws in the box as well. And also in the box we received this single leaf or single page instruction. It's the size of a business card, and it only contains the essential information about the device, but it has a wiring diagram, so it shows you how you connect it and how you take off the front fascia. And in case you need to pair it with the Tuya Smart or a Smart Life app, which it will do automatically when you power it up on the first time, but if you need to power it again, you just need to hold one of the buttons on the touch for more than 5 seconds. And actually it has a buzzer, so it's going to buzz when it's in pairing mode. And next, let's see how it gets connected, or how it needs to be connected. So on one side, I just have a lead, and that's what I'm going to use for testing. So I have the mains power coming in through this lead. And if I flip this over, we can see that that's the incoming power in my left hand. So the live goes to the live connection. And of course, the neutral go to the different bulbs separately. And then the live also goes to the bulbs. So as you can see here in the switch box, we don't have anything other than the 3 live wires, because that's the 2-gang version. So live coming in and 2 lives going out. Of course, on the 3-gang version, you would have a 3rd wire as well. You can see the place for that. And you need to connect the capacitor across one of the gangs, so one of the lights. So you connect it across the 2 terminals of your light fixture. So that's between the neutral and the live. And this capacitor will allow some current to flow through the device, which is enough to power the small circuitry inside the device. And that's how it operates. Of course, if the light is switched on, then the whole current flows through. But with the capacitor, there is a small current flowing through, even if the lamp is turned off. And that seemed to be enough to power the unit, but it's not a huge current to illuminate the light bulbs or the devices when they are turned off. I've connected the device to mains power, and at the moment we don't really see anything. But as you can see, it is working. So you see there is a very faint blue illumination when the gangs are off, and when I turn them on, there is a sort of like a red, very faint red illumination. So probably that shows up well in darkness, but in daylight it's not noticeable at all. And as you can see, when I turn these off, there is nothing on these light bulbs. So there is the small amount of current which is flowing through is not causing these LEDs or any of these lights to come on, which is, of course, it's nice. There is no flicker, and it works just great. One thing I have to say, it's probably very personal, that in the Sonos switches, I always felt that if you don't, touch exactly on the same surface, or maybe if you just, you glance over, sometimes it doesn't switch. But this seems to be really, really responsive. I mean, I've noticed this straight away, and probably this protective film is not going to, make much difference. But let me just remove this. But even with a protective film, it just works great. So it's really, really responsive. Probably the other thing I would say is, this is a completely even surface, so there's no dimples on the various buttons, so it is really hard to feel where you need to touch it unless you're actually looking at the device. Of course, in the night you have the black illumination, so that really helps. That helps to find the place, but it's not like that. You really need to look where you touch. The other thing you might have noticed, I think normally my microphone picks it up, but when I turn it on, there is no clicking sound. So I haven't found anything in the documentation, it's definitely not mentioned, but it seems like that they are using solid state relays instead of normal physical relays. So there is no clicking sound at all. It's absolutely silent, which is probably quite nice. And with this discussed, let's go over to the Tuya Smart app. Just like with any other Zemismart and Tuya models, you can use the Tuya Smart or the Smart Life app to control these devices. I just like to use the Tuya Smart. I think it looks slightly bit better. I've already done the pairing. I mentioned about how to get into pairing mode, but if you are in pairing mode, you just press the plus button on the top right, and I have selected this option, so it's the 3rd one on the left column, which says switch and Wi-Fi. And of course, the picture here, or the icon, shows like a 3-gang switch, but you always select that regardless if you have a 1 or 2 or 3-gang switch, because then the actual interface would properly mimic the type of the switch that you have purchased. I haven't changed the name, so W602 is the default name. That's probably some sort of like internal product description or product ID. And if you click on common functions, you actually have access to the 2 outputs here, so you can switch them directly from the main screen. And if you just type anywhere else, then the full product screen or the full device screen comes up. You also see the 2 switches here, so switch 1, switch 2. As it shows a hint if you long press on any of the switches, you can rename them. So you can rename them to kitchen light and something else. Besides the two switch faces, we have 4 other functions down in the bottom of the screen. One is an all on, so you can turn all the outputs on. And on the left, you have an all off, so you can turn all the outputs off. Besides the all on and an all off functions, we have 2 more functions here. I'm going to start from the right. So one is the countdown. So I have the switch 1 switch on at the moment. First in the countdown, I can select whether I want to do something with switch 1 or switch 2. So I select switch 1 and I say I want this switch to switch off in 2 minutes. Here you have a slider, but that's just to enable or disable this screen or this setting that you are setting at the moment. And when I do that, you can see immediately that it says device will switch off after 2 minutes. And if I click again, I can, if I use the slider, I can disable that. So you have only one countdown, you set it manually. So it works pretty much like the sleep timer on your TV. So you just set it when you want this device to turn off. And if you would do the same for the other output, that will turn on. So you just set the time, and once that time elapses, then it's going to, basically flip the status of the device. So that's the countdown. The other one is a timer. I think we have seen this a lot. You can set up timers for each of these channels separately, and you basically set an hour and a date, and you can set a repeat cycle within the days of the week when you want this device to either turn on or you want them to turn off. So you can set recurring cycles when, whatever device that you have connected here should automatically turn on and off. Or for example, you can just set off, let's say 10 o'clock. So you know that at 10 o'clock, these lights would definitely switch off, even if you leave them on. So that's timer and schedule in a nutshell. The only other thing you can do here is you come to the settings, which is the pencil arrow on the upper right. And here you can make a few changes. So if you click on the name, you can change the icon of this device. You can change the name and the location, so which room it is. You have a few device information options. As you can see, it can integrate to a number of third-party controls. The ones I think we are likely to use the most is either Alexa or Google Assistant. So all you need to do is link your Tuya account to either your Google Home or Alexa, and then you would immediately be able to control your devices. And as you can see, 2 minutes have elapsed now, so Gang 1 has turned off. The other common functions that you find in all devices: share. You can share the device with other users, or create a group, so you can automatically sync the settings of these devices. So if you have multiple lights in a room, each controlled by a separate smart switch, turning one on will automatically turn all of them on. So it's similar to the way that I've explained about how you could use the RF switch with this to simulate a two-way switching. You can use the grouping as well. And I have to say that's pretty much it. I think there is not much else that needs to be said about these switches. I mean, we have seen quite a few of them and they pretty much work the same way. Of course, this being a single live wire switch, it needs a slightly different wiring, but it is based on your home setup. Whether you have neutral available in your switch box or you don't, you can choose between this model or one of the regular models which use neutral lines. If you want to buy this particular model, I'm going to leave purchase links in the video description. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching and hopefully see you in the next video.